So before printing this project, I've never printed with PETG before, so I probably got some details of it wrong, I don't know, but maybe it's because of the filament. But I have a lot of stringing and cleanup to do. So first I'm gonna use a variety of sandpapers and sanding pads and all sorts of things to clean up my prints, and then I'll show you how they look after. So some pieces are actually much cleaner. They have like some stringing over here and on the corners, but it's pretty decent. But on the smaller pieces I have stringing like crazy over here. So let's begin. Now it's the next day, the pieces are washed, sanded, dried. Now what I will do is these guys. These are small brass inserts. I don't know if the camera will focus on these. So these are small brass inserts which will be put in with a soldering iron, and this will allow me to have like screw positions on the pieces. There's already holes for them. So let's begin. So that's the biggest piece done. You see there are now brass inserts, which in my opinion look pretty cool as well. Like the corners. So one done, infinite more to go. After a while I figured out that if I just put the piece on the iron, let it heat up for a while, and then take it and put it in with the tweezers, it's much easier to put in, and it's a much cleaner finish than just pushing it with the iron. So it's heating up. I'm using this to check if it's level with the surface. It is. Nice.
So it had been a few days since I cleaned and prepped the parts, and I forgot to drill the through holes because they were too tight to fit the screws. And the screws I ordered online didn't arrive, so I had to scavenge some old screws from the first case since it wasn't of use anyways. And I started to screw everything together, and the most of the parts weren't that bad, but some needed a bit more force. So I used the drill to push them in and use its force. I had to clean some parts up more, and you can see that now. The top part was the easiest since it was printed as a single big piece, so it came out much cleaner than the smaller parts. And I got stuck on this screw. It tore through the brass insert. It took me a long while to take it out. I'm going back and forth. So now the aluminum pieces arrived and they needed some countersinks and needed to be drilled in some places to make the holes larger, which will need to be addressed if I improve on the design. So this is the motherboard plate. As you can see, these standoffs are installed on it as well. These are for the front fan. They are brackets I designed. They are a simple design which don't interfere with the airflow. And they are on small standoffs to house the fan and keep it away from the front panel. That's the power supply bracket. That's the rear bracket, rear panel. As you can see, there are too many screw holes. I've noticed this, so this made it very hard for me to install everything, but eventually I got through everything. The panels are warped a bit because of the laser cutting, as I'm told, because this is the first time I had something laser cut and it wasn't me who did it. The panels with less cuts are almost not warped at all. The bottom panel was a bit hard to fit because the feet were like exactly the same size as the panel, so they made it very hard for me to install the bottom panel. And now this is the front panel, obviously, and as you can see, there are like 1 billion screws on this. They look cool, but it makes the assembly process very tedious and hard. And you can't screw the screws all the way unless all of them are in place, because I didn't give enough margin of error for the screws to set into the holes of the metal panels. This panel has the most cuts and it's the most warped, but the other panels installed and the case is 3D printed parts keep it together, and actually it's very straight when you install it.
Turns out I didn't shoot anything after I finished the case, so I don't even have any photos or any video of it without the system in it. So right now I have the system in and it's working great actually. So I'm editing this video on it right now. I hope you stay in tune so you can see how it turns out in the end, how it looks, how hard it was for me to install all the components in it. So all the mistakes I did, everything right, everything wrong, everything I could do, you will see in the next video. Stay tuned. Bye.